My life's a story before me, and I'll try and find a way to be free finally. I'll reach the new world. The game has only just begun. I can see it in your eyes. This is where tomorrow brings a new game. It's time to learn, the pain is gain. Ready, fight!
Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Bowser Jr. Fan 13 and welcome back to another top 10. My goodness, it's been quite a long time since I've done these, am I right? Anyways, so when it comes to video games, it's known for its wide variety of characters, especially the heroes, the ones who get the spotlight, who basically shows off how cool they are, and that's what we love about the heroes. They save the world and just do it in their own style. But of course, whenever there's video game heroes, there's also video game villains. There are many things that can show off a video game villain, and all these different traits that I'm completely too lazy to name out right now for some weird reason. Basically, in conclusion, the villains are always the best, even some that are better than the heroes. So for this list, I'm counting down my top 10 favorite video game villains. So this may contain spoilers for a few games that you probably haven't played, but whatever, who cares. And the way the villains are going to be ranked on this list, they'll be ranked based on their design, their personality, their motivation, and just everything else in general, and especially their powers. So without further ado, let's get into this action, shall we? Okay, so coming in at number 10, we have William Afton, aka Springtrap, aka Purple Guy, aka whatever this dude is called in other games. Five Nights at Freddy's. You know, in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, you'd think the killer animatronics or the owners of the company would be behind all this. Yet Afton is the most interesting villain who basically causes all these twists and turns. So he kills 5 innocent children who will become Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy, and the girl in the Take Cake minigame, who would become the marionette in FNAF 2. And he also causes Mangle to do the Bite of 87. Mainly this is all because of his daughter Elizabeth dying at the hands of Baby in Sister Location, and his son, the protagonist of FNAF 4, dying at the hands of Fredbear. So I guess he went mad after losing his children, and I'm not sure what happened to all the other children that he had, but whatever. So the innocent souls are freed, they chase Afton down, but he later on puts on the Spring Bonnie animatronic costume, which the spring locks end up getting loose and killing him, but he ends up staying alive, and he also wreaks havoc in FNAF 3. He burns the restaurant down and also tries to get his revenge in FNAF 6 by rebuilding some of the remaining animatronics. But his co-worker had to put an end to all of this. He burns the animatronics alive, and all the spirits who were trapped are now free and get to rest in heaven. While Afton has to stay in hell for all of the causing trouble that he's did, thus with becoming Ultimate Custom Night, the game that we get after FNAF 6. You know, it's kind of shocking that a guy who, used to work at this kid-friendly place ends up being a murderer after some crazy incidents. You'd think the company would, hold responsibility after all this, but nope. Whatever. Afton, I gotta admit, he does make a remarkable villain, and a pretty interesting one.
Suffer now, like all who have stood before me.
Number 9, Wolf O'Donnell from Star Fox. Wolf is the leader of his own team called Star Wolf. Basically, they're a bunch of bounty hunters, and they're the rivals of Star Fox, working for Andros, and they just basically mercenaries for hire. Wolf is the most interesting villain out of all the Star Fox villains, mainly because, first off, he looks pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie, and some pretty interesting stuff that you learn about him is he actually knows he actually knows his enemy Fox's father back when Fox was young, which does raise some questions that some people wish to know. But either way, it does seem to be cool that not only does Wolf try to hunt down Fox in some of the games that he's been in, he becomes the main antagonist of the next game, Starlink Battle for Atlas on Nintendo Switch. I haven't played that game yet, but it does look pretty cool. Anyways, he's also in Smash Bros. I think he's in a few other spin-off games. But overall, I think Wolf does make a pretty interesting villain. And when it comes to his personality, he is, well, pretty sly, clever, and not to mention, very cruel-hearted.
Wherever you go, I will hunt you down.
Number 8, we have M. Bison from Street Fighter. M. Bison is the leader of his own criminal organization known as Shadaloo, and he holds a world martial arts tournament for all the fighters to come and fight him, just so that he can brainwash them and basically add them to his organization. M. Bison, oh my god, he is like so freaking cool. His psycho power is like, as he says, has no limits. I mean, he has amazing moves like his Psycho Crusher, Psycho Blast, Nightmare Booster, Knee Press Nightmare, Devil Reverse. Like, literally, all of his moves are just so unique. And he is the most overpowered final boss in all of Street Fighter history. I mean, if you play Street Fighter Alpha 3, you will not have any chances beating Bison in that game, because he's just that hard to beat, trust me. I also like how evil he is. I love his personality. I love his design. He really does look like a dictator. Not to mention, he's actually responsible for some of the fighters who want to get revenge on him. I mean, he made a clone who would end up being Cammy, and he would make her lose her memory somehow. He destroyed T-Hawk's village. He killed Chun-Li's father, Guile's best friend Charlie Nash, and he even killed Juri's parents. This dude is just straight up a black-hearted evil dictator, and I would not get into this dude's way.
My psycho power knows no limits!
Number 7, we have Ganon, the Demon King from The Legend of Zelda. Okay, just a heads up, I've never played any of the Zelda games, well, aside from the NES games and Ocarina of Time and yada yada yada, but I'm not a big fan of Legend of Zelda, but I do admire the series since I'm a Nintendo fanboy. Alright, so Ganon, as you all know, is the main villain of the whole Legend of Zelda series. There are many different versions of him, but my favorite version has to be his incarnation from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Alright, so in that game, he was a man named Ganondorf who was raised by 2 witches with enormous power, and his main goal in life, he was destined to cover the land of Hyrule in darkness and conquer the world. And he'll do anything in his power to do it, even if it means he has to kidnap Princess Zelda. So, each character from The Legend of Zelda, they have one piece of, like, the Triforce. Link has the Triforce of Courage, Zelda has the Triforce of Wisdom, and with the Triforce of Power, Ganondorf can become Ganon, a big, giant, powerful beast with swords, and oh my gosh, this dude is, like, literally, like, from what I heard, is the hardest boss in one of the Nintendo 64 games. Like, I can guarantee you if I play Ocarina of Time, I pretty much would have a struggle against this dude. But I just love Ganondorf overall. He is a really cool villain. Coming in at number 6, we have Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog. Dr. Eggman is one of the most iconic video game characters and video game villains, especially in the Sonic franchise. His origins are completely unknown, but here's basically what we know about him. He's an evil scientist who wants to conquer Mobius by basically expanding his empire, conquering the world, and he enslaves animals by turning them into robots. Wow, that's just kind of dark. Of course, Sonic is always coming in, getting into his way, but no matter what, Eggman will always come up with all sorts of different plans. Eggman may be a goofy villain sometimes, but there are most times when he's serious and has some pretty unique plans. Not to mention, he has a whole bunch of crazy inventions that are just straight up awesome, for the most part. He even created one of the coolest characters of all time, which I'll get to in the honorable mentions. And if I have to say what's the best Dr. Eggman plan that he's had throughout the years, my favorite plan, I love how in Sonic Adventure 2, when Sonic had a fake Chaos Emerald and tried to give it to Eggman, but Eggman knew that that Chaos Emerald was fake, so he captured Sonic into a capsule and sends him into space to get blown up. And even though Sonic had that fake emerald, which shouldn't have allowed him to use Chaos Control, if Sonic knew, like, that, if that fake Chaos Emerald that Sonic had, like, had no power whatsoever, then Sonic would be dead. Eggman would have won. Like, seriously, that was a brilliant idea. If Eggman keeps this up, he would end up being an even better villain. But, of course, enough is said. Dr. Eggman is just brilliant. And besides, I even love his voice actor. Like, I know all the Sonic voice actors are leaving or being changed and stuff, but nobody does a better job than Mike Pollock.
Thought you could defeat me?
So here at number 5, we have the beautiful and the wonderful Lady Alcina Dimitrescu from Resident Evil Village. Yep, of course she would make number 5 on the list. So, if you don't know, Lady Dimitrescu was a minor antagonist introduced in Resident Evil Village. So basically what goes on in that game, she is one of Mother Miranda's 4 lords. She used to be in a wine business, and she also was a jazz singer, if you guys did not know. But after her death, Mother Miranda resurrected her with the Caseta parasite, and she ends up getting resurrected into a tall, thick vampire that we all know. Okay, I know she's not a real vampire, but whatever. So she owns her own castle, and she raises 3 of her own daughters, and she basically goes around killing anybody who trespasses her way. She even mixed her own wine with the blood of the maidens, thus is the reason why she has blood everywhere in her castle. Plus she needs it in order to keep her youth, according to the game. So, when it comes to Lady Dimitrescu, she is, like, extremely powerful. Like, I mean, she has superhuman strength, she has long extendable nails that can become claws, and basically she's extremely durable to most weapons. She also has a mutated dragon form, which makes her completely unstoppable. Well, not entirely, but whatever. I love her personality. She seems like a very elegant, gentle, and kind lady, yet she's also really cruel. And if you don't want her to kill you, then do not get on her bad side. Lady Dimitrescu has also, like, really put a big impact on the internet. Like, she became, like, so popular. Even her own voice actress praises her. There's just nothing that would stop this woman from fame and whatever. So overall, I enjoy Lady Dimitrescu. She's one of the greatest villains of all time, and whenever Capcom makes some new games, I love to see her make some appearances in them, especially like if it's going to be Marvel vs. Capcom or Capcom whatever and stuff. She just has to make an appearance because it would make fans extremely happy. And hey, we're getting DLC for Resident Evil Village, so if it's possible to make her playable in, like, I don't know, maybe a bonus story or whatnot, I'd enjoy that.
Oh, be careful what you wish for, Ethan Winters.
Number 4, we have Bowser Jr. from the Super Mario games. Yeah, big surprise there. You all thought I was gonna put Bowser Jr. on number 1, huh? Because he's my favorite Mario character, huh? Well, sadly, as much as I love Bowser Jr., there's just better villains than him, though. Anyways, so why is Bowser Jr. on this high of the list and instead of his dad? Well, let me basically explain. So Bowser Jr. is Bowser's son and Prince of the Koopa Kingdom. In his debut in Super Mario Sunshine, he kidnaps Princess Peach because Bowser told him that Peach was his mom, even though that was a lie. So when Bowser tried to tell him the truth, Jr. knew this whole time, and he just didn't mind that and just want to basically make his dad proud by fighting Mario once again. So, anyways, when it comes to Bowser Jr., I mean, he's so adorable, you gotta admit it. And what I like about him the most that puts him this high on this list is how unique he is. And basically, I'm talking about his boss fights in the games. I mean, sure, he may just run around and wait to be jumped on 3 times like the Koopa Kids, but there are some games where his boss fights are actually pretty unique. Like in Paper Mario Sticker Star, like, he's basically, like, super fast and super prepared with all these cannons and stuff and crazy attacks. You have to, like, come extremely prepared for him, because that's why I lost a few times when I was playing Paper Mario Sticker Star. In Mario and Luigi Dream Team, when you use the bro moves, he actually tickles Mario and Luigi and takes their attacks so that you can't use them again. That's a pretty smart move. But Super Mario Galaxy, that's where he truly shines, sending all these crazy stuff after you. In Galaxy 1, he sends out a giant killer monster robot, other colored version of King Caliente, and he attacks you with this airship. In Galaxy 2, he sends out a big snake serpent dragon. He attacks you in a giant robot with bullet bills and hammers. And he even sends in a big tank with fire bars, electric cannons, and wheels, and a vacuum wave. Just, who knew that a small kid like Bowser Jr. would create something amazing like this? Like, that just really gets me thrilled. Whenever I have boss fights against Bowser Jr., he's got to come up with something pretty amazing that just really gets my blood pumping. And I even love how they even gave him his own game in the remake Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. I'm planning to get it very soon. Overall, Bowser Jr. is just so amazing, so brilliant, and whenever there's a new Mario game coming out, you bet your boots that's the first character I'm going to be playing as. And I gotta thank Nintendo, of course, because he also inspires my OC character and my channel.
Let's go! Aha! Alright!
Okay, so we're up to the top 3, and things are getting even more interesting. So for number 3 on the list, we have Jedah from Darkstalkers 3. The Vampire Lord is no slouch when it comes to being the best villain. I mean, he has very powerful attacks like crazy buzzsaws, long extendable nails. He can basically take out your blood and use it against you. He's kind of like the Grim Reaper. He also has a scythe. He can also fly, and basically he can also try to steal your soul, inflate your body parts, and even splash you with blood into a contract or just a whole pool full of blood while it's slashing you. It's just insane and crazy. Not to mention, Jedah has a pretty awesome voice and an amazing evil laugh. I mean, sorry Kefka, I know you have the best laugh in video games, but Jedah's just wins my heart. And when it comes to Jedah, what do I think of him overall? Well, let's go through some stuff. I love how cool he looks. I mean, you gotta love that design. His villain motivations are pretty amazing. He basically collects 1,000 souls and is trying to feed on everyone's souls just so that he can basically feed off this weird godlike baby fetus creature, which is kind of disturbing if you think about it. I mean, his stage is called the Fetus of God, for Christ's sake. Like, Jesus. Not only that, he also sets up a bunch of stuff that would happen in Darkstalkers 3. I won't get into too much details on that, but overall, Jedah is just straight up damn awesome. And whoever did the voice of Jedah in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, when they make a new Darkstalkers game, please do the voice of Jedah for him once again, because Jedah is just straight up amazing.
Grant me access to the power of creation and destruction.
Number 2, we have Sigma from the Mega Man X series. As much as I love all these different characters from the Mega Man series and all these different villains, Sigma is the best villain throughout the whole Mega Man franchise. So, what do I like about Sigma? Well, he was originally the leader of the Maverick Hunters created by Dr. Kane, but after meeting with Zero, the roles started to swap, where Zero would become a good guy, while Sigma would become a bad guy. He would wait until now to turn against humanity and basically rebel against the humans and start a war with Reploids taking over and Mavericks just causing chaos and everywhere. Sigma just straight up hates humans now, and he even tries to stop X and Zero because he knows that they're going to get in his way. Sigma is very powerful. He has so many amazing attacks and so many different forms. Like, so much to name. Like, it's just so... I mean, as much as I'd like to explain all these other powers that he has, it's just too much. The Sigma virus he can also use to basically turn a Reploid into a Maverick and get them to do his bidding. I love how he teams up with Ultron in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because of course they're both the main antagonist of that game. And the voice actor is pretty cool, you gotta admit. His design, I've already said this before, the designs are awesome, and I love all the forms, they're just so cool. Sigma, nobody's got anything on you. Well, except for the Maverick Hunters, but whatever. Just straight up amazing.
Your pointless heroism ends here, X! Prepare to be scrap metal!
So who was my number 1 favorite video game villain of all time? Well, before we get into that, let's throw in some honorable mentions. I won't explain all of them because I have so many honorable mentions, but let's run through them all. Bowser, Super Mario, Kefka Palazzo, Final Fantasy VI, Wesker, Resident Evil 1 and 5, Nightmare, Kirby's Adventure, Omega Zero, Mega Man 03, Nemesis, Resident Evil 3, Shao Kahn, Mortal Kombat, Team Flare, Pokemon X and Y, Kuja, Final Fantasy IX, Flowey, Undertale, Andross, Star Fox 64, and basically any Star Fox game he's in. Akuma, Street Fighter. Boffle, Mario and Luigi series. Metal Sonic, Sonic the Hedgehog. Sadler, Resident Evil 4. Arden, Final Fantasy 15. Shang Tsung, Mortal Kombat. Skull Kid, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. Carl Heisenberg, Resident Evil 8. Shinnok, Mortal Kombat. Base EXE, Mega Man Battle Network. Monica, Doki Doki Literature Club. Okay, and now we're at the final pick of the list. Number 1, my most favorite video game villain of all time is Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Totally wasn't expecting this, huh? Well, some of you might be expecting this, but still. Sephiroth, what can I say? He's just one of the greatest villains who have ever lived. And he's my favorite villain that I've, ever got to see. When I played Final Fantasy VII, I knew that he would be the most coolest and best villain that I would love. So anyways, he was a lab experiment / born child who was raised into this company, Shinra, and basically after finding out the truth of something something. He burnt down a town, started to go haywire, and he even basically summoned a meteor to end all life. And that's basically it. And he also infected people with a disease, but yeah. So Sephiroth, he just looks cool, he fights cool, he's just super strong, and not to mention you gotta love that theme song, One Winged Angel. Just listen to it, it's awesome. Plus, he also wields the Masamune, one of the strongest blades in Final Fantasy history, and in fact, he's so good at using it, he only needs to hold it with one hand sometimes. Pretty impressive. He can also use magic, like all sorts of different Final Fantasy magic, as you all know. He has some of his own magic. He can even use Supernova, which basically summons the sun to destroy all planets. Okay, he doesn't actually destroy planets because it's an illusion or alternate dimension, or it's hard to explain. I mean, Final Fantasy has always been hard to explain, but whatever. Overall, Sephiroth just really warms my heart. As much as the other Final Fantasy villains might be higher on this list, Sephiroth just wins it for me and is proven to be the best video game villain of all time. I enjoy playing as this dude in Super Smash Bros. I love to play him in Dissidia Final Fantasy. Whatever game he's featured in, I always play as this dude because he's just the best.
Remember who brought this pain upon you.
And that wraps it up for today, everyone. What did you think of this list? Who is your favorite video game villain? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out, everyone.